When it comes to January, it's funny what creatures of habit we all are, as we
Mm-hmm.
typically set our goals for the coming year, deciding what areas of our lives we want to change or fix. The same applies to manifesting. We might want to make more money, have a healthier body, or even have a better relationship with our specific person. What happens when we think this way? We naturally believe the change will be linear, making tiny incremental steps over time. We need to sort things out, like meeting specific criteria, before we can manifest. First thing is the need to fix our limiting beliefs, like believing we have to lose weight before we can manifest our ideal person, as if we are not good or deserving enough to receive our desire, as we are now. We must remove any excess baggage we might have picked up over the years. For example, if we built up the belief that we always get hurt in relationships, we need to let this go before we can manifest back our specific person. But if that is always the case, how do we explain miracles of instant healing? Surely they didn't happen in incremental changes. Then why are there overnight successes? But the results are only short lived, like the lottery jackpot winners who lose their millions several years later, or the film star who shoots to fame only to be working in the local fast food joint a few years later. So, how can we make a quantum leap to manifest our desires without losing them in the future? The best way to take this quantum leap is to free your mind by understanding how reality works. Most people think time is linear and that we live in one world, but we now understand that is not the case. When we watch a movie using an old-style film roll, movement only occurs when each frame is viewed at a certain speed. Time is perceived in the same way. Each moment in time is a separate world reality and is perceived when we shift from one reality to another. And what dictates which reality we move into is what we are perceiving or conscious of being. Because our outside world is created by what we believe and assume to be true, as our imagination and consciousness are reflected in our outside world. So, what happens when we want to fix something, like moving from being alone to being in a relationship with our ex? If we only fixate on the issue, our outside world, the 3D conditions, appear to be the same. This is because even though we constantly shift from one reality to another, we remain on the same timeline, so the same story is played out. As soon as we focus on something different, we jump instantly into a new timeline. But even if we focus on a solution, when we're still in the mindset of fixing something, we only expect to see a slight improvement, as we are conscious of being slightly different from where we are now. Once we accept the new change, we move to another timeline where we accept the incremental change. Imagine every version of you that has happened or could happen in this life exists as a potential in your imagination, your consciousness, and is represented by this circle. Each version of you has a different timeline. If this is where you are now, then not only is there the version of you that is slightly better off, but there is already a version of you in the perfect relationship. And if you realize that it's just as easy to jump straight to the perfect version as the mediocre version, what would you choose? But how does this work? In the Avatar movie, a paraplegic named Jake is sent on a mission to the moon Pandora. But instead of physically travelling there, he remains in a pod and projects his consciousness into an avatar, already on the moon. So not only has his body changed where he can walk and run, but his entire reality is different. This is how we exist, in that our bodies don't change. Instead, we, our consciousness, shift from one reality to another, where there is a different body and life, i.e., into another version that was previously potential in the imagination. This is because we are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And the quickest way to do this is by changing your identity in your inner world so that you shift to the timeline where the story plays out, like an actor changing roles. You get to decide what role you want to experience next. Here's an identity shift example. Recently, I watched an interview where the naturally slim actor discussed a role where he had to put on a significant amount of weight. When asked if it was difficult to lose the excess weight, he said no. Surprisingly, he found it more challenging to put on the weight than lose it. So why was it? Because even at his heaviest weight, he didn't identify with the heavy body, but only saw it as a temporary costume. So when he resumed his usual routine, the excess weight naturally and quickly disappeared. In contrast, think about a woman who has recently given birth. If she has accepted that her heavier body is permanent because she has taken on this identity, she will struggle to lose weight, even if she uses all her willpower to diet and exercise. Are you ready to take on your new identity? If so, here are the key points. Choose who you want to be, your new identity. There are no limits, so choose freely. Decide it is yours now. You know everything you want already exists as a potential in your imagination. Hence, your only job is to be that person in your imagination to instantly shift timelines and experience it in your outer world. From this new identity, not only see yourself as the new version, but declare you are that person now and that you always have been. It's an announcement rather than a hopeful wish. It's about beingness, not doingness. Like, I'm in the best relationship of my life, and this is who I am right now. The brilliant thing about identity shifting is that you create from a much higher level of consciousness than simply using basic techniques. This means you don't have to drop any thoughts, feelings, beliefs, etc., belonging to the old you, as long as you keep reminding yourself of who you are now. This will keep you on the new timeline. Anything from the old timeline, including people and events, will naturally disappear. And finally, use techniques to help you to stay and return to this new timeline until you have cemented your new identity and are experiencing it in your 3D life. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again.